Sermon again, swing pass, and blown up, lost the football. Picked up by the Tigers, far side. Going the other way, taking it all the way in, Andre Anthony. Touchdown, Tigers. Scoop and score. Stingley with the hit.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. I'm Jonathan Poche, joined by Buddy Songy, here to bring you everything you need to know about LSU football, Saints, and a whole lot more. Of course, we come to you from 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old school barbecue, great food, great atmosphere, great place to watch a game. But, man, LSU is now 2-1 after they knock off Central Michigan. Final score 49-21. Offense showed a nice rhythm. Max Johnson had 5 touchdowns, did throw the 1 interception. LSU was out a bunch of different wide receivers, so some young guys got an opportunity to shine, and boy, did so they ever. Defense looked like they were attacking. B.J. Ojulari had 2.5 sacks. He was named SEC Lineman of the Week, the second time in his career he's been awarded that honor. Last season became through a performance against South Carolina. LSU went into this game, in my opinion, it was a must-win game for head coach Ed Orgeron, and nothing much changes this week. They start SEC play, going to Starkville to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs at 11 a.m., got the early kickoff. But again, Bud, man, I think this is a much-needed win, a must-win for the LSU Tigers.
Happy Wednesday. Good to see you. 2 weeks in a row, we're going to try to continue to get a little rhythm with our Tigers Roar show. Of course, it smells great in here, great food, some of the best brisket. Come by and get it, and you will not be disappointed. Back to the opening segue with Andre Anthony. You know, his is a guy that's a 6th year. When Devin White talked to the team before the season, he said, Dre, this is your team now. You got to be a leader. And remember the old wide world of sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat? Well, the thrill was Derek Stingley Jr. dislodging the football from Central Michigan Chippewa, and Andre Anthony picking it up, scoop and score later on at the end of the first half. Of course, unfortunately, he has the serious knee injury and is out for the year. I'm telling you, I don't know if this team is made of glass. They've had bad luck or whatever, but a lot of injuries. But, yeah, they took care of business. I thought much better on defense. Offensively in the first half, you got to like the rhythm. You got to like the tempo. You got to like the passing. Thought they got back into some bad habits in the second half. But all in all, it's 2-1. And praise the Lord, last Wednesday about this time, Nicholas was a pain in our rear ends because it had come in, of course, in the coast of Texas and was dropping deluge. I did Scarborough and Facebook later on, and I'm telling you, I had to drive in the middle of the road. It was raining so hard. There was so much. Yeah. So for all of you who've had to deal with Ida and the remnants of Nicholas and and you especially and all the people in New Orleans, everybody, let's knock on wood and hope that we can get a little bit of momentum with the weather and moving forward with both the Tigers and Saints football teams.
LSU also released their 2022 schedule. A neutral site game first week, Florida State. That's exciting, but man, I like the matchup. I was excited when they announced that they would play. I'm glad it's finally here. Seminoles having another tough year. Can't really turn it around over there.
In the Superdome.
In New Orleans, in the Superdome. I watched the Florida State Seminoles take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in week 1. That game came down to the wire. It was a great story for the quarterback. He used to play for UCF, had a horrible injury, didn't know if he'd ever play football again.
Sure.
Came in, almost brought the Seminoles back for the win. Of course, they lost that game in the end. And, man, it's crazy to think just 20 years ago, a quarterback that played at Florida State would have blew out his knee and then gone to UCF. But it's such 2 different spots that those programs are in. The UCF really a hot team right now nationally, and Florida State still trying to rebuild.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mike Norvell having a real problem stringing some victories together with Florida State. The irony of all ironies, once again, as we talk about Hurricane Ida, I don't know what they would do if we have another hurricane come in and, with the anniversary of Katrina, and certainly hopefully not Ida, because, of course, the Superdome has not been hosting any of the Saints games. The Saints obviously have gone over to Dallas to train and get ready. It didn't bother them the first game as they blew out Green Bay, and Jacksonville just looked like, and had all those COVID-related problems with assistant coaches and everything else. Back to the LSU Florida State game. Let's just hope that the Superdome is up and running. Oh, by the way, it is the Caesars Superdome now. They are the corporate sponsor. And how about LSU getting a little deal with Caesars to supplement some of their athletic department money? But, 2022, the first 4 games, you should breeze through those opening 4 games. But look, this is a very important game Saturday. One part of me says they're going to go over there and take care of business. The other part says, look, it's 11 in the morning. Those guys don't like to wake up. You're eating the meal, the pregame meal at 4 o'clock. Right. The cowbells are going to be loud, and Mississippi State is going to try to do something that they haven't done, and I don't know when. Probably go back to the days of John Bond when they beat LSU 2 years in a row. This is, look, Coach O and this team are fighting for survival. There's a sense of urgency, and I'm hoping that they get some of these injured stars back because they still have a few more that aren't going to play, but they are slowly but surely healing up. I think you'll get a better representation of LSU football in the next 2 weeks, and let's not sugarcoat it. Those are must-win games for LSU against Mississippi State Saturday morning. And then, oh, by the way, the following weekend, 8 o'clock in Tiger Stadium, and it's the second game of an ESPN doubleheader, so it's probably going to be closer to 8:15. So you want to get that crowd juiced. You want to get it ready. You want to get it full. Guess what? You got to take care of business Saturday for that to happen.
We have a whole lot more here on LSU. Before we take this first break, we'll remind you guys, check us out on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It's a great way to keep up with everything we do at the Pelican. All Tigers Roars are archived on YouTube for you, as well as the Clarence Buggs Show, the Exiles, Rocket Right, the Coach Kadar Show, and a whole lot more. Once again, check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Once again, we're at 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue Smokehouse, the best brisket in Baton Rouge. Come check it out. Kayla's behind the bar ready to serve you a cold drink, so come check us out. We're here, trying to get here each and every Wednesday, but man, now we're back in football season. Going to build up the rhythm on Tigers Roll a little bit. We appreciate you tuning in, and come back and join us right after this break.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
We continue here on Tigers Roar, talking LSU football. Now 2-1 after knocking off the Chippewas from Central Michigan. A final score of 49-21. Offensive had tempo, just like Coach Orgeron said they would. They did check with the sidelines, but in a lot of cases just ran the play that was called in the huddle. I think that helped both Max Johnson and the offensive line get into a rhythm early in that game. Defense scores points for them, then you're up by 14 before you even blink of an eye. A perfect start for LSU.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Deion Smith, of course, number 6, left his calling card as he had 2 great catches. We're going to go through some of the highlights here. I thought Max Johnson played appreciably better. We know that Max has a tendency to hold on to it a little bit too long. We'll also let you hear from him coming up here. But you still have some basic problems that you got to get fixed, and that means you got to establish a running game, and you got to protect better. Listen, when you're struggling to get 100 yards rushing against McNeese and against Central Michigan, this is going to be problematic. And I'll ask you the question, can LSU win these competitive SEC games being basically one-dimensional? They threw it for 400 and less than 100 with the rushing yardage. So got to do a better job of being more balanced, in my opinion.
We do have some highlights. We'll ask the truck to go ahead and roll those. Speaking of being balanced, man, I thought Corey Kiner, the young guy out of Cincinnati, had a phenomenal game. Reminded a lot of people about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The spin move was certainly apparent, number 22 of 2019. The strong, stiff arm. I mean, the game started off good for the Tigers, but then they really showed some things with the young guys as the game continued.
Yeah, good to see both number 18s bringing out the American flag. Of course, everybody knows that was 9-1-1 and a special night. Here we go, Jack Bech. Once again, all he does is catch the football and make the first down. 5 catches for Jack Bech, tied with the most. Yeah, that freshman, Coach Ed Orgeron says, the second best receiver on the team. He showed with that one-handed catch later in the game. He's certainly very talented. And, of course, once again, he's flexing every time. Here's going to be the play to Smith, number 6. He is a true freshman from the state of Mississippi. Just went up and got it and out-jumped the defender, and you know that gave him a lot of confidence. Here's the big turnover, JP.
Yeah, here's Stingley, number 7, the playmaker, making plays. Number 3, Andre Anthony. This is the high point for him in the game. Scoops it up, scores a touchdown. Felt great for that young man in this situation, but of course, the higher the high, the lower the low.
He looked fast. And of course, he knew what to do on that scoop and score. Great stuff to him. This is once again Jack Bech, and you see he catches it before the first down. Has a great tendency to get the first down.
A much better pocket this game for LSU, like I mentioned. Here's number 6, Deion Smith. Ed Orgeron said he reminded him a lot of Justin Jefferson. He kind of looks like Jets. He's running routes and he's celebrating right there.
He really does. I don't think he does the gritty as good as Justin Jefferson right now, but he is going to be a force for the next 3 or 4 years.
He's a name that not a lot of Tiger fans might have heard about before Saturday, but they certainly know about him now. Here's where the running games kind of started picking up later in the second quarter, setting up the play action, and here goes Max Johnson at number 6 again.
Yep, Smith was a guy that we know has got a lot of talent, and once again, this is Devonta Lee, who had a nice ball game, catching about 5 balls. Here's the jet sweep and the wide receiver reverse. Keyshawn Butte getting in the end zone, doing a good job of extending the ball over the goal line.
Max Johnson certainly likes throwing at number 80. Here you see why. The run after the catch. I mean, the guy's so strong. He's a flex tight end. He played receiver in high school. Skill set of a smaller man, but that guy can do some damage once he has the football in his hands.
LSU doesn't really have a blocking tight end. Here's the deep ball. This is one of the things. Brian Thomas Jr. once again, look, I'm expecting him to catch his first touchdown as a Tiger, and a one-handed touchdown catch for Jack Bash. That's as good as it gets, JP.
He made it look effortless too, but man, live, I didn't even know he caught it one-handed. He made it look so easy with the replay. It really shows you how great of a catch that really was. Here you go, Deion Smith
Here's
again.
number 6 again, and zigzagging, and he reminds you of Justin Jefferson. He really does.
Yeah, that move right there. Justin Jefferson pulled a time or two as an LSU Tiger.
LSU did a great job defensively for the most part. Mason Smith, for most of you know, is moving the defensive end now that Andre Anthony's out for the year. And there is big number 0. I've already said, get him a Coke Zero deal with NIL. It's a perfect fit.
Mason Smith did play defensive end. Not to take it away, but Corey Connor, what a fantastic stiff arm. We see it again right here. Throws the man. That's just respectful. I mean, that kid's got a family that's watching him on TV right now.
That's the way TK used to throw me around when he didn't like what I was saying on TV. And here is Corey Moore trying to get into the end zone just a little bit short. Once again, Corey Connor with the Clyde Edwards-Helaire spin move to get in the end zone.
Great tape right there for the LSU offense. Did exactly what they needed to do early in the game to get that solid lead. Nussmeier does come in at the end to mop up duty, but Max Johnson, I mean, got through his 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think he was 26 for 35, 370 some odd yards. Did exactly what he needed to do to prove that he is the guy. You know, it'll be a 6th start as a college quarterback this coming Saturday. For a guy who's played 5 games, can't ask for much more. Saw a comparison between 2019 Burrow, 2020, the start that Miles Brennan. Gee whiz. Miles Brennan had in 2020. And Max Johnson's right there. I mean, the guy, he throws touchdowns every game. I mean, I think he's 5 straight games going back to last year. He has a touchdown. What can you ask more from a sophomore?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were talking 2019 or 2020, but of course Miles Brennan did have a nice start in 2020. He's expected to come back on the open date week right before Bama. Once again, Tigers are getting more and more players back. Back to the offense. I want to see up-tempo the whole game. I don't want to see these offensive linemen squatting 20 seconds and having problems establishing the run game. So how about this? Mississippi State and their quarterback, 50 completions out of 67 attempts. You can't let them throw the football on you 60-plus times because we got a little revenge for that secondary from last year.
Right. I mean, Mississippi State came in, Mike Leach, the air raid, threw for what? 1,000 yards against the Tigers?
Over 6.25.
And the quarterback that did it against him wasn't even the starter 4 weeks later. I mean, it was a mind-blowing game. Put the Tigers into a funk that they didn't get out of for a solid 2 months. We want to let you guys hear from Max Johnson, the sophomore quarterback from LSU Tigers. We have an interview from this week. We're going to ask the truck to go ahead and roll that. If they are ready to do so, we appreciate it. And I'll take it away, Max Johnson.
Closer to that level. I think we had a great game last week, but we don't want to, dwell on the past. I think we're just looking forward to, practicing this weekend, looking forward to the game.
Hey, Max, how much of a challenge is it to make sure, everyone gets a piece of the pie with all the emerging talent that you're getting?
I just think it's not about, whether it's a piece of the pie or, I think it's just about winning, whether if one person gets the ball or, all the receivers get the ball. I think it's just winning and, putting the ball in, the playmakers' hands and letting them make plays.
Hey, Maxwell Alexander from The Advocate. Jack said that he's sort of he doesn't have the size maybe of a prototypical tight end, but he likes doing all the things that a tight end kind of does. Yeah. How much of an asset is that for y'all in this offense right now to have him kind of all over the place?
I think he can do a lot of things, whether it's blocking or, going up and catching a fade ball with one hand. I think he's the overall what you want at tight end. I think he's done a great job of getting open, knowing where to be and knowing the plays. And I think Coach Peets has done a great job of putting him in those places to succeed.
Hey, Max, Jacques from Channel 9. Austin Decula said you guys have speakers as big as he is at practice blasting cowbells, trying to get ready for the crowd noise. You talk about that?
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I think it's just – Mississippi State is known for their cowbells and the loud noises, and I think we're just going to implement that in some of our practice, just some of our, units of practice. And, I think it's just, focus on, getting the protection calls right and the plays, and I'm just looking forward to working through that.
You've been to the Swamp before, but I guess it was 17,000 or whatever, and you played for a pretty big crowd at the Rose Bowl. But are you looking forward to your first true kind of road atmosphere this week? Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we take it as a challenge, and we're looking forward to playing this Saturday, competing, and it's going to be fun.
Hey, Max, this is Glenn West. Just going back and looking at the film, or just any conversations you've had with Jake Peets in the last couple of days, just how much do you think the up-tempo just really kind of helped you guys get into a rhythm? And I guess kind of what's the next step of getting it even more on track than it was last week?
I think it just allowed our guys to play fast, get in rhythm, and just take some shots, whether it was one-on-one or whether it was running the ball and not letting the D-line to get set. I think Coach Peets did a really good job of setting the tempo, and I got to call it faster, whether it's getting the line set or getting the protection set. But I think overall the tempo helped us a lot, I think.
Hey, Max, this is Shea Dixon. Coach O talked about passing to set up the run. Just as you try to figure out, or you guys try to figure out the run game and get it going, how much does that approach help in terms of just opening things up?
I think it's just a timing thing, whether it's just we're going to run right here, we're going to pass right here. Sometimes it's an RPO that I threw the ball. I think sometimes everyone thinks that it's a pass, but sometimes it's an RPO. They're seeing the throw, whether it's a bubble, I read the nickel, I read the safety. But I think our line is hungry to work on the run game, and the backs are ready to get the ball. So it's going to be fun.
And Max, you mentioned the shots downfield and whatnot. Is that, like you said, a lot of that might be from the tempo. Is that more the scheme just opening that up, and that's what you guys wanted to do, or is that to some extent you feeling more confident doing that?
Versus UCLA and McNeese, we really didn't call a lot of shots. I think they played a lot more zone than Central Michigan. Central Michigan played some man on the outside, whether it was quarters or some other type of coverage. I think that allowed us to take some shots down the field. And, the receivers did a great job of being aggressive and catching the ball.
A minute ago, Max, you mentioned how you've got to call it faster to make that. Do you think that's sort of, or maybe the thing you're focused on now, the kind of next step in your own personal development? Is that kind of what you're honing in on?
I think so, and just just focusing on competing and getting better. I'm not. I'm focused on myself. I'm focused on our team. I'm not focused on anything else around us. I'm focused on getting better this week, and I'm focused on leading our team to a win.
Hey, Max, Coach O had mentioned that, moving Kayshawn into the slot also kind of really helped the offense kind of flow a little bit better. Just what about having him in the slot really helps you guys, get some momentum on drives? Yeah,
I think just putting him in the slot allowed us to run some RPOs with him, whether it was glances or 6-yard outs. And I think it allowed us to put Deion Smith on the field too, and BT at Z. And, I just think it's a personnel thing, whether it's we have a different personnel group or them. I think it just, puts our athletes in space.
Hey, Matt, you've been in the position where you were a freshman who had to contribute and, produce early on. What do you think about seeing so many freshmen produce and make big plays so far this season?
Yeah, heck yeah. It's pretty awesome how many freshmen we have making plays right now, such as Jack, Corey. All the freshman receivers are making plays. So I think it's just exciting for them and exciting for our team. And, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Max, do you feel like you guys kind of found something in the running game in the second half against Central Michigan there?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we ended up figuring it out in the second half. Corey did a really good job of, reading the holes, reading the line, and, making plays, whether it was after contact. And, so we're working on the run game this week, and we're working on the pass game. It's going to be fun.
How would you describe him as a runner? Just kind of a low-to-the-ground, powerful guy?
Yeah, I think he's super powerful. He's mean. He runs hard. That stiff arm kind of shows just kind of who he is. Yeah.
How would you kind of describe the dynamic with you and Coach Peets in terms of kind of building an offense to where it works for you and also what he wants and whatnot? How often are you talking?
Yeah, we talk all the time. I think it's just adapting week to week to what the defense does. I think he's done a good job of, calling it that way, whether it's, if we do more RPOs, more runs, or more play action passes.
Continue on Tigers Roar. That was Max Johnson, sophomore quarterback for the LSU Tigers, a guy that's played 5 college football games. Going to start number 6 this week against Mississippi State in Starkville at 11 o'clock. A lot of poise. He says he work hard so he can let his team know on and off the field he's going to be a leader for them, which is he has it in him. I mean, the pedigree's there. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl at Tampa Bay. He's been around football his whole life. He just gets it. He understands the role he's supposed to play, both on the field and as a leader in the locker room. A good young man.
Doesn't have the biggest of arms, but he knows where to throw the football. Obviously, they're still working on giving him better protection. Left tackle is a problem. I was just looking at the phone to see if we've got any Twitter updates from practice on this Wednesday afternoon. Of course, we all know that the early start. Look, on the road, I don't mind an 11 o'clock game as long as LSU wins. If they lose, that gives the LSU fan base another 6 or 7 hours to stew. But let's talk about Max Johnson going on the road last year at Florida in his first start and having a wherewithal. So I'm not worried about Max. Max is going to do his part, but you got to get off the field on third down. And, oh, by the way, we do have our prop this week, Roger Goodell, red nose. And if you watch the NFL, it is officially now, once again, the no fun league. Look, JP, you got a son playing, and all of a sudden he makes a big tackle, a sack, an INT, and he gets fired up, and all of a sudden he looks and he talks smack into that opponent's player in his face. Guess what? The flag. And so I don't like how they're calling that a lot more. Let these guys have a little fun. I understand not wanting to taunt or intimidate. And the second thing, these quarterbacks ought to be wearing a dress. It seems like every time they get hit, and of course the Saints were on the beneficiary against Green Bay when they barely hit. Jameis Winston got the penalty. But anyway, NFL having some early officiating problems. And, oh, by the way, Mississippi State got shafted. My worst gut feeling is that LSU is going to get the raw end of the deal. SEC officiating first 3 weeks of the season has been horrific. Right. They've been taking hits nationally in games across conference. When you're an SEC team, you travel up to play, say, at Penn State. You bring your own crew 9 times out of 10, and it hasn't looked good for SEC officials this past weekend. I mean, it's been, tough calls, straight blown calls. There's 20 cameras in the stadium. There's 7 referees. How are we still getting calls that wrong with a replay system out there? And in order to make sure that these refs, have the time, have the equipment. A lot of these guys are middle-aged plus, not in great shape. These kids are so fast. It happens so fast. It's like car accidents on the field. You cannot expect these human eyeballs, even though they do make most calls correctly. Yeah, they do. But the equipment is there. The technology is there. So we can ensure that the right call is being made. I just can't understand why they can't figure out a way to implement that replay in order to where we get all the calls correct. And if you have 2 number 4s on the field at the same time, that's a penalty, folks. Right. And of course, Mississippi State got shafted on all that. So interesting to see if they get the beneficiary of the officials. But that's the last thing the LSU fans want to deal with now. After 2 hurricanes and after, of course, a sluggish start, they want a fairly officiated game. And I think the Tigers will start a little slow, but I've got them pulling away at the end and winning by 10 again. Let's hope that it comes to fruition. A little bit more about LSU's offense before we take a break. All the young receivers, but man, they got to play in this game and it's really shined. Jack Bech, Deion Smith, Brian Thomas Jr. These guys, fill out the wide receiver room very nice. But LSU's got so much depth at the wide receiver room. They could fill out 3 teams with their wide receivers, and they would all have a pretty good wide receiver core. It's only going to bode well when you get a guy like Trey Palmer back to add to the mix when you can really spread teams out. And Jack Bech, you mentioned it, not really a blocking tight end, but a guy that can really stretch the field up the middle. Max Johnson's going to have his pick. And really, the old saying is, you get better the most between game 1 and game 2. Well, I think it was between game 2 and game 3 for LSU's offense. Yeah. Really found their rhythm early and stuck with it. Corey Connor came on strong. I think he did enough to get him some more carries in the game.
He's strong, built a lot like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, can move. The only thing is he's going to be able to pick up the blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so important in the SEC play because, I mean, these defensive linemen, they're tanks. You know, they're 1-2 years removed from the NFL. Got to be able to pick up the blitz. That's going to be a big part of who's going to be able to play the most in that backfield, along with catching the ball at the back and pick up those tough yards. And they have to get more balanced, like you said. Max Johnson has done a good job throwing the ball, spurting it around. I think 11 different Tigers have caught passes this season so far. Defense, I think it's really starting to hit their stride, attacking more, not reacting so much. Durante Jones, defensive coordinator, seems to have his guy believing the systems. We did see a couple blown coverages. One by Major Burns led to a touchdown later in that game against Central Michigan, but they still have time to clean a lot of things up. But, man, and Coach Ed Orgeron said they're still working to get better. They're not where they want to be just yet, but they're getting there.
By the way, last week we saw number 6, the true freshman wide receiver from the state of Mississippi. Well, you're going to get a kid this weekend, and I'm going to make it. This is Wednesday, September the 22nd, the Wednesday before Mississippi State. You saw 6 last week. This week you're going to see number 8. Not B.J. Ojulari, who'll have a sack, but Malik Neighbors. I'm telling you right now, when we do the show next Wednesday or whenever, we're going to be talking about Malik Neighbors. He's another one coming back. Oh, by the way, hadn't seen Chris Hilton, so they have 5 incredibly true freshman receivers that are excellent. We know that, of course, Cole Taylor, we're still waiting him to do a little bit as the blocking tight end. And as you mentioned with the running back, Armani Goodwin, number 22, comes back. I hope it can stay healthy. He's been battling a high ankle sprain. He's got some get up and go. He looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like Corey Conner, man, he's 210, and he is a load to tackle. TDP, still probably going to start, but the running game has got to help balance this thing out. Otherwise, you're one-dimensional, and they're going to load 8 in the box and come blitz every time that Max is back to throw. And Pete's has had trouble calling the right play in that situation.
We talked about the offense. We come back from this break. We'll talk some LSU defense. We'll let you guys hear from a couple of LSU defensive linemen, including one B.J. Ojulari, the SEC Lineman of the Week. Don't go anywhere. This is Tigers Roar. We'll be back right after this break.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are 2 busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer. Team Mazda on Airline.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
I've seen a lot of things during my life, more bad things than good. I've lived in a lot of places, but never a home. I don't think anybody cares about me anymore. And now, I'm tired. Signed, Brian, age 11.
Abused and neglected children in East Baton Rouge Parish are in dire need of CASA volunteers. Please call 379-8598 today. Change a life of hurt into a life of hope.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
We continue here on Tigers Roar. Ready to talk some LSU defense. Did have 21 points to the Chippewas, but it was blown coverages, a big play.
A pick six.
A pick six. And LSU defense really started attacking, I felt. Mason Smith continues to dominate. Interior line play was good. Derek Stingley making plays, had the forced fumble. Of course, a lot of teams don't attack Stingley in the pass game too much. Safety play I thought was okay, except for those blown assignments. So a lot of guys close to the line making plays against the run. I was happy with the linebackers. Damone Clark did a really good job.
Micah Baskerville.
So they're starting to get their rhythm, just like the offense. I mean, they're always building, always trying to get better. It's still a young team for the LSU Tigers. B.J. Ojulari, a guy that has had 2.5 sacks, now is tied with 3 different people for 4.5 sacks, tops in the nation. LSU leads as a team, leads the nation in sacks with 17, the most sack yards, the most tackle for loss yards, the most tackles for loss. This is the attacking defense that a lot of people were looking for last season. And if you take nothing else away from the LSU Tigers, at least know that they're going to go 100 miles an hour and try to get to that quarterback.
Well, I think this is the first time that both Jake Peetz and Durante Jones did not dine on vanilla ice cream up in the press box. Of course, everybody knows both these guys are calling plays for the first time. And when you got a head coach that's kind of in a big year, with his future being determined, even though the contract says otherwise, there's pressure on everybody. There's pressure on there's pressure on Jake Peetz, there's pressure on Durante Jones. But for the first time, I saw them disguising what they were going to do on defense. I saw them jumping around. I saw them blitzing. And Mike Leach, I don't think, has any idea of what he's going to see. Now, last year, and I don't say the P word on the radio or TV, but the reason is that Bo Pelini, that's the P word, did not change or tweak one thing, stayed in man. If you remember, Stingley was out. Darren Evans is a kid that had been signed at only 2 weeks from Nichols.
Right.
He had to play. Jay Ward was hurt. Oh, by the way, number 5, Jay Ward is back. He's going to bring a lot of stability to the secondary, especially the aforementioned safety problems. And so if you look, but B.J. Ojulari and Mason Smith and Ali Gay, and then, of course, let's give Neil Farrell, who we'll hear from, as well as Joe Evans, Jaquelin Roy, Jacoby and Gilry. They are starting to develop some depth. If the linebackers can cover the backs out the backfield, you put pressure on this Mississippi State quarterback, and then Jay Ward communicates with these guys. Major Burns can't make that mistake and give up a 75-yarder like that. So I'm very positive moving forward that this defense is going to get better every week.
We talked about Andre Carter and he going down for the rest of the season. Andre Anthony, going down for the season. Mason Smith making that transition to defensive end. That's scary for a lot of teams.
Ooh, he's a load,
He's a big man, number 0. He can move. He played defensive end in high school. The combination of the size, the speed, and the moves, he's going to be dangerous out there on the outside.
Cade York gets an NIL deal with Velveeta. He's got a queso challenge. You were listening to me and Mike talk about that. But what is Coca-Cola waiting for? Come on, Coke. Mason Smith is 0. How would you like to see Mason Smith drinking a Coke Zero after the game? And I'm going to predict it right now. Mason Smith, B.J. Ojulari, and Ali Gay will all have sacks Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon.
We'll let you guys hear from the SEC Lineman of the Week. The second time in his career he's been awarded that honor. Here is number 8, sophomore B.J. Ojulari here on Tigers Roar.
It was definitely an honor to be the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. And I just credit to my coaches and to my teammates for helping me achieve that goal for last week.
Hey, BJ, Sheldon Michaels with the Advocate here in Baton Rouge. Coach Young was telling us yesterday how They moved you a little bit more outside this year. Was that his idea or Coach Carter's idea? What did that entail, and how much is it giving you more freedom maybe to go after the quarterback?
It's definitely giving us the attack mentality, widening us out a little bit, making more rush, and again after the quarterback. It's definitely, I think it was a group idea with Coach Jones and his defense and Andre Carter, the way he coaches and the way he teaches us to attack.
And did it make you feel like I said, do you have more free reign to the quarterback where you can maybe elude that tackle a little bit easier?
Yes, sir.
That's the idea.
Yes, sir. We definitely have more free reign to elude the tackles and get a better rush in, first and second down situations.
Thank you.
Hey, BJ, Jacques from WAFB here in Baton Rouge. Sometimes when you go on the road to a hostile environment, the defensive line can kind of quiet the crowd down and kind of set the tone for the game. How much are you guys looking forward to, a tough road contest and the start of SEC play?
We love the competition. We know it's going to be a rowdy environment, so any big plays, big stops that we can make to just calm the crowd is going to be a big influence in the game.
Obviously, last year you guys played the first game of the year. It didn't go well. Is that in the back of your memory bank, or is it just a fresh start?
I definitely think about it. Think about last year. We're just going to come out this week and just focus on getting the win on Saturday.
Hey, BJ, this is Glenn West with LSU Country. Coach Orgeron said this morning that it's looking like Jay Ward could be available for you guys this weekend. I'm curious just what kind of impact he has at safety, because it seems like he really drew in some rave reviews this fall and played well in his first couple of series against UCLA as well.
Oh yeah, Jay Ward, he's definitely a guy you want behind you. He's going to come up with and stop the run. He's going to drop back, make big plays, interceptions, and everything in the back half of the defense. So he's definitely a guy that we want out there and can't wait to get back.
And BJ, when you say thinking about when you think about last year's game, when you do think about it, what do you think about? What comes to mind?
Just what we did wrong last year and what we got to do this year to prevent what the outcome of what last year was.
Yeah, kind of a follow-up to that. I mean, Coach Joe said how y'all still are kind of trying to manage some busts, fix your coverage of crossing routes, some of the things that gave y'all problems against Mississippi State last year. So how much of where do you think y'all are at as a defense compared to where you were at during that game a year ago?
As a defense, I think we're better. We communicate better. The back half communicates better. Everybody's going to be on the same page. And going into practice today, I know they're going to emphasize communication on the routes, communication on blocks, and just overall in the defense being on the same page.
Hey, BJ, how's it going? I mean, obviously, you've been pass rushing from day one here, but what has that kind of progression been like of becoming ready to be a 3-down guy in the SEC?
It's been a steady progression, just looking up to guys like Andre Anthony, Ali Gay, just seeing how I can take away from their game into the run-stopping side of the defense. And then even with the pass rush, they still teaching me things because they have more experience. Looking on to Coach Andre Carter, Coach G, and Coach O. So it's just an ongoing skill development every day to get better.
Hey, BJ, Nick Lopez with Tiger TV. And it's obvious that when the defensive line is on top of their game, it allows the linebackers and secondary to kind of fly around and do what they need to do. How do y'all look to continue that in this game and upcoming games?
Defensive line, we're definitely held to a higher standard. We want to create the juice. We want to make all the plays, and we want everybody to feed off our energy. So when defensive line going, the defense is going, the offense gets going, and even the special teams gets going.
Hey, BJ, going back to Coach Carter, Neil told us that he puts on the pads, or he put on the pads once, and did he get down and dirty and show you guys what to do? I mean, and what have you learned specifically from him?
Oh yeah, he can definitely put on the pads in practice. He's very engaged in the practice. He will do anything that he needs to do to give us the right look before Saturday. And he's just a great coach, and he taught us a lot of things technique-wise, coming from the NFL and playing in the NFL. So it's just a great experience to learn from him.
When you learn, Coach O talks a lot about his 80.5 sacks in the NFL. When you hear that you're getting a coach like that, how excited did you get to have somebody like that teaching you?
You know, it fires you up because, you know, he's played the game. He knows the game. So just to be able to talk to someone and learn from someone who's done it is no other experience.
Thanks.
BJ, when it comes to Jack Besh, I was at a breakout game this past weekend, but it seems like he's sort of been coming along for a while. Was there maybe a moment or something like that in practice where, you know, he really stood out to you for the first time or something like that?
Yeah, the young guys in practice, they definitely have their flashes of, of greatness and stuff like that. So he's a guy who comes to practice every day, works hard on routes, blocking, and he's going to be a great part of our team this year.
BJ, Coach O said in the first big test of the year we didn't play well against UCLA, and now this is the second big test. Is this in a way kind of a reset to see where you guys are at?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a big game for us this year to see where we at against another SEC opponent. So just coming into this week, we have to have that mentality of just getting to work and getting it done this week.
That was number 8, B.J. Ojulari, sophomore defensive end for the LSU Tigers, who is now tied for the tops in the nation with 4.5 sacks. Of course, he comboed on half a sack with the young man Guillory, Jacobian Guillory, this past weekend. And looking forward to taking on the Bulldogs in Starkville, 11 a.m. kick. We talked about it already. Mike Leach had his team throwing the ball all over the place against the Tigers last season. Scored, I believe, 44 points. Don't think that's going to be the case this season. Of course, LSU attacks more. The defensive line is stacked with young, very talented players, able to rotate in and out, stay fresh the whole game, and it's across the line. I mean, they have guys that can come in at any snap and do an effective job on the defensive line. And that starts right there. Getting pressure on SEC quarterbacks is how you win games. Yes, LSU does have a very talented secondary, but if you don't have a pass rush, it's not really going to matter much. An okay quarterback can find a guy if he has 5 or 6 seconds in the pocket. So it starts out front, and B.J. Ojulari is a big part of that defensive line.
Yeah, I did predict B.J. would lead the LSU team in sacks, and I'm going to just throw out the number. I think he can get to about 10. He's that good. Of course, he's gotten bigger, stronger. He's about 245. His brother played at Georgia and was held from the edge. Mason Smith, though, man, from the outside. B.J., Mason Smith, and Ali Gay will alternate at the defensive ends. But interesting when you talk about last year's game, Coach O's been asked a couple times about revenge and said no. I'll be honest with you. I'd put the film up and I'd make them watch a little bit of it and say, do you realize how bad you guys were? Oh, by the way, in Starkville, it is they've asked everybody to wear white.
White out.
Now, this is not going to be like the 100,000 at Penn State Stadium, right, where it really is as cool as anything you'll ever see in college football. But they're going to have a whiteout for Mississippi State, and I hope that the Tigers can get off the bus ready to play. And here's the other thing, JP. If you've ever been to a game in Starkville, those cowbells, if Mississippi State wins, I'm telling you, you will be hearing cowbells for a day and a half. So you got to minimize the impact, got to play 4 quarters, got to run the football, stop the run. But I think you also have to win the turnover battle. Don't want to be giving up turnovers on the road against Mississippi State.
You lose Andre Anthony, a guy that played a lot of snaps for the Tigers, 6-year senior, a guy that had a scoop and score against Central Michigan. He's out for the year. Somebody else has to step up. Of course, you have Ali Gay coming back. Mason Smith slides to the outside, but another guy that's really a strong leader in that locker room is Neil Farrell, a guy that's a grad student, played a lot of snaps for the Tigers. Big number 92, came back, wanted to finish what he started at LSU. Happy to have a guy like that on the roster when you lose a leader like Andre Anthony, and he's going to have a bigger role. He's only had 7 tackles, 3 solos so far this year, so he's going to have to step up to a bigger role for the LSU Tigers.
But he had a big game against Central Michigan, and I think 92 and 94, Farrell and Joe Evans played a lot more consistent. Micah Baskerville. But Jay Ward, number 5, I think you're going to see he will be a stabilizing force back with those secondaries. Cam Lewis is going to play some more. LSU defense has the potential to get better each and every week. Want to see the up-tempo on offense. And for the life of me, can you put somebody back over there that can catch a punt and not give up all that dead yardage they gave up last weekend?
We'll have one more player interview for you here on Tigers Roar. Here is graduate student Neil Farrell, number 92 for the LSU Tigers, defensive tackle here on Tigers Roar.
Hey, Neil, how's it going? Obviously, start with the unfortunate news about Andre. I guess just as a leader of that room, how much does that sting for him and you guys? How do you feel about moving forward, I guess, now?
Yeah, it hurt us. Me personally, Dre, a close friend of mine on this team. So it hurt me just as much as it hurt him. I know how much he's a fighter, how he waited for his turn, how much work he put in. I just told him, keep God first and his time going to come.
Yeah, I guess just when it comes to Mississippi State, Neil, I say it seems like a chance for you to prove that y'all fixed what happened in that game last year. How much far do y'all think you'd come as a defense in the last year? Do you think that you're equipped now to stop the things that gave y'all so much trouble against them last time?
We feel good. We comfort. We put in a lot of work this offseason with Coach Jones, and we feel like he's going to put us in best position to make plays and be successful in this game Saturday.
Neil, as a veteran guy that's been around for a long time, what are the feelings of going into SEC play? Is there a kind of an extra focus, an extra edge this week?
We look at every game as a sign. We just put in the work during the week, work hard, practice hard, so we be successful on Saturdays.
What are your memories of cowbells?
I know, it's a loud stadium. They do their thing over there, and we just gonna come there, block out all the noise, and play good.
Now, Mason Smith might be playing some defensive end now. I guess, somebody practices with him every day. How do you feel about him moving to that spot, and what might that kind of do for your defensive line to have that bigger guy there?
A player like Mason, he can play anywhere on the line. That's what's so good about him. He's so versatile, 6'5", 6'6", about 280, can pass rush, can bend, can play double team, single blocks. He really can do it all. So I'm excited to see how he play out there.
Hey, Neil, Sheldon Nichols with the Advocate. Coach O was telling us yesterday about how they moved BJ out a little bit, get him off the tackle a little bit, give him a little more, I guess, space to roam. But what have you seen from him in year 1 or year 2? He's already got more sacks than he did all last year.
Yeah, he progresses as a player each and every week. He's a natural-born pass rusher. He could bend. He could do it all just like Mason. I'm glad we got him on our team.
Yeah, hey Neil, this is Glenn West here. A couple guys on that interior defensive line that maybe don't get a whole lot of the shine are Joseph Evans and now even Jacobian Guillory seems to really kind of coming on here. Just talk about the depth now that you guys have. Obviously with Mason moving over to DN, just how the interior still looks pretty solid.
Jacoby, my guy, he played nose behind me. I took him under my wing. I try to make him better. He make me better. He an energy type of player. We got a lot of depth.
Hey, Neil, this is Shay Dixon. Speaking of depth, I guess, Coach O said this morning that it looks like next week Glenn Logan might be back and, could be back to practicing, maybe even play against Auburn. You mentioned those other guys. What does a guy like Glenn bring to that defensive tackle room when, he's back out there with you?
G-Lo, he's a student of the game. He always in the playbook. He always watching film, so he tell us what the O-line going to do. He's just a very great student of the game, and I'm excited to get him back out there.
Hey Neil, this is Nick Lopez with Tiger TV, and it looks like the past couple of weeks that the D-line has really been like the spark plug for the defense. Can you elaborate on that a little and talk about how you plan to continue that?
Yeah, we just been working our butts out every week, every day. I get hats off to Coach Jones and Coach Carter for putting us in position to make plays and be successful in the game, and I'm just ready to get back out there and work.
Hey Neil, I mean, this might be a dumb question, but is there different ways you have to prepare when you're going against an air raid, kind of knowing they will be passing? You would assume most of the game.
You know, we just go into the practice, do what the coaches tell us to do. You know, they're gonna have the game plan. We just gonna abide by that and be successful.
Neil, you mentioned Coach Carter there for a second. Orgeron's given him a lot of sort of praise when talking about the defensive line. What's he like as a coach? What sort of things does he do with y'all?
You know, like I said before, you know, he had 80 career sacks in the NFL, so what he brings to the table, everybody going to buy in and listen. And so far, he's been doing a great job. We've been being successful. We're going to keep it going.
Neil, Coach Orgeron said the first game against UCLA, the first big test, you guys didn't play well, and this is kind of a chance to see where you're at after a couple of, I don't say warm-ups, but kind of get yourself back in position for the next big game. Is that how you feel?
I mean, yeah, you know, we ain't played too good. You know, we could have played a lot better, but, you know, the coaches went back and watched film and figured out how they could put us in better position to make plays, and they did that. We've been putting that on for 2 weeks now. We're going to keep it going throughout the rest of the season.
Hey, Neil. Coach O was telling us yesterday that the coaching staff started game planning for this game way back in the summer. You know, and given that, plus how this game unfolded for you all last year, has that created a heightened sense of urgency around things as you all want to really redeem yourself from that effort and be 1-0 in SEC play?
Yeah, you know, SEC, you know, it's big. We're going to be prepared. We're going to be ready to do what we got to do to get the win Saturday.
Hey, Neil, a couple of maybe technical questions. Just what does Andre do to get you all those looks? You talked about his sacks and his history. I mean, is he really getting down there with you guys and showing you the techniques that you need to use? And then kind of going back to kicking, I think it was BJ out a little bit further. What does that do? Does that just enable him to get, more speed or to keep the offensive lineman's hands off of him? What is that distance being kicked out further do for a defensive lineman?
You know, as a DN, you play 5 technique, you be outside the tackle. So he get out there, he got plenty of space to work pass rushes, play the 5 technique against the run, and that's going to make him be successful as a player and us be successful as a defense, the type of player he is. And with Coach Carr, he get down and dirty with us. I mean, one practice, he put the pass on and we was going against him, and he had shoulder pads on. So, he's a great coach, and I'm very, very thankful we got him on our team.
LSU Tigers defense lead the nation in sacks, sack yards, tackles for loss, and tackle for loss yards. Can't ask for much more. Attacking style defense, getting after the quarterback. Durante Jones has his guys fired up, and they want to compete. And that was the thing about last year. You just didn't see the energy, the competitiveness up and down the sidelines and on the field for the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Got to put pressure on the Mississippi State quarterback. Once again, we're not speaking here. 50 completions in 67 attempts last week. They should have won the football game, got shafted. They will be ready to play, and the cowbells will be loud and prevalent starting at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning.
A whole lot more here on Tigers Roar. Next segment, we'll be joined by Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. He'll be joining us via the telephone. Always look forward to talking with Mike. Always has great stuff on recruiting, and he follows LSU football as close as anybody. Very entertaining. I know you and Mike do the Facebook show, and Mike also has a post-game show on Facebook. He does a lot of good things. A busy guy. I'm happy he spent some time with us.
Well, and you get the film from practice. You get all the high school film, and obviously Mike was the first one to tell me about how good Walker Howard was going to be. That is the $64 million question that still looms over the LSU program. Will this season affect all those verbal commitments? They've got about 15 good ones already verbally committed to play at LSU next year.
Well, we'll talk to Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com right after this break. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Taste the feeling.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Balello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Balello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
And we welcome you back here on a Wednesday evening. Much better weather than last Wednesday. Of course, we are at Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. And Mike Scarborough now with our TV update on recruiting and all things LSU football. Happy Wednesday afternoon, Mike. And, of course, had you on radio, and we'll do Facebook Live later on tonight at 8 o'clock on Tiger Bait. Just kind of give us a general overview of LSU recruiting and obviously just how important it is. You were talking about the relationships that Coach O, Jonathan, has established with all these recruits. It's pretty important that the Tigers start a little bit of a winning streak and get things settled a little bit. Agreed?
Yeah. There's a bunch of components here. We're going to see next weekend for Auburn. They're going to have a big recruiting weekend. But LSU needs to stack up some victories. And if Orgeron is the coach for several years to come, I think he needs to have some stability with his staff. I don't think he can have any turnover. It's one thing to have turnover if one of your assistant coaches gets a head coaching job at a school or whatever. But if you're having to make changes again because things aren't working like you want them to do and all that stuff, that's got to get fixed, and it's just going to take time.
You know, Frenchie messaged me a little while ago, said, any update on John Emery? I know his attorney has done a good job, and, he hadn't played this year, unfortunate with the academics and all the family issues that he had. People are looking for answers at running back. Did we get anything late this afternoon, or are we going to wait till Friday to hear about him and Trey Bradford?
Maybe we'll know something tomorrow or Friday, but I think the hearing's tomorrow, so we'll see. Hopefully they can get him eligible.
What about Trey Bradford?
What do you know about him?
Same thing, I think. Just waiting to get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed with the academics, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's like multiple guys. Well, I don't. To me, seeing what we've seen out of Connor, I'm more worried about getting Armani Goodwin healthy. And I mean, initially there was a reason why Bradford left in the first place, right?
Yeah. So, hey, Mike, we didn't talk about this. JP, you're an early morning guy. Mike, let's talk about playing at 11 o'clock, eating the pregame meal at 7. Are you a little worried about them coming out sluggish, or you think Coach O and Tommy Moffitt will have them ready to go at kickoff Saturday morning?
You know, it's been a while. How long has it been since LSU, first of all, they don't play at 11 very often, but when they have, it's not like LSU's played bad in so many years. So I don't know if the kickoff benefits either one of the two teams or both of them play to a different level. I don't know, but whatever they got to do, they need to get it done, and because this is absolutely a must win. They can ill afford to lose this football game, because if you're going to say what are the games on the SEC schedule, they're going to be the easiest. This one's it, because after this, if you lose this one, where are the wins going to come from? Because the two teams that you consider to be worst in the two worst teams in the West were Mississippi State and Arkansas, and we're seeing what Sam Pittman is doing at Arkansas. Right. And what's that going to mean if he beats and knocks off A&M Saturday?
Right.
You were talking about come out of nowhere and a candidate for Coach of the Year.
Right. Last week, Mike, we talked about how Central Michigan and Mississippi State, we all felt like they were must-win situations for Coach Ed Orgeron and his team. I don't think anybody feels any differently, even though the offense did leave a better taste in your mouth this week as opposed to when we beat McNeese. In your opinion, where was the biggest area of improvement for the LSU Tigers against Central Michigan?
Well, I think there's reason to be excited about the running game. I think that, obviously Max Johnson had a great game. If it wasn't for the last interception, he was darn near perfect. So if you're an LSU fan, you're excited about the newcomers at receiver, Besh, Deion Smith. So, yeah, of course, Keyshawn Butte continues to do what he does. And I think the defensive line performed very well. You hate to see Andre Anthony lost for the year, but B.J. Ojolari ends up being SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. If the LSU defense eliminates the busted play, really the last 2 weeks, if it isn't for a busted coverage or a broken play, the defense is practically pitched shutouts both weeks.
Yeah.
And, guys, you were just talking about those freshman wide receivers, just a crazy little ESPN game on ESPN, but my ESP says there was a kid that was committed to Mississippi State, and LSU flipped him, and he's going to score his first touchdown. I'm telling you right now, folks, Malik Neighbors, number 8, has his coming out party this weekend, just like number 6 Deion Smith had. Mike, talk a little bit about that kid being flipped, and he was the talk of the fall camp, and then, of course, as we know, got injured and hadn't played yet. But I'm excited to see what he brings to the table Saturday afternoon.
Well, they're certainly excited in the Lafayette area, or what they call Acadiana, because if Neighbors, gets his chance to shine and get more balls thrown his way and stays healthy, it looks like 3 of LSU's top 4 wide receivers are all from the Lafayette area. So, I don't know who gets to claim him, Como or Southside, but we didn't get to see him last year because he was ineligible, and but it's LSU is absolutely filthy rich at the wide receiver spot, because we haven't even got Brian Thomas has shown some things. Chris Hilton's got a bright future. So the Trey Palmers, the Kirklands, et cetera, they got to watch out.
Mike, a guy that Tiger Bait had a lot of stuff on. He was back in high school. Mason Smith going to move out to the defensive end spot, losing Andre Anthony for the season. Talk to the people out there about what this guy can bring to that defensive end spot.
Well, look, I mean, obviously he's a big guy and he's got long arms and he's got a super bright future and he's been hard to deal with. And you hope he gets better and better each week. And at some point, he's not just a third down lineman; he can be an every down lineman. So, but I mean, he is an absolute beast, and we even got to see. I had 1A and 1B as my top 2 5-stars last season, and Mason was one of them, and Savion Jones was my other, and we got to see a little bit of him at the end of the game.
Yeah, if you're wondering, the defensive end that got in a little bit of the action the other night is Savion Jones, number 35, 6'6", 240-ish, 245. JP, Coach O has admitted that this class that he just brought in, this freshman class, is probably the best one that he's had. Mike, we ask you this every Wednesday, whether it's radio, TV, or Facebook, but how's this class progressing? And all the time we get, when's the next guy that's going to commit? But really, we know that everybody's into their own little high school games right now. And Walker Howard, people want to know how he looks. And of course, those linemen that he's got coming in, an injection. I think Emory Jones of Calicut would be playing right now, JP. He's that good. He's that big. He's that strong.
Yep.
Well, yeah, look, Walker and STM will go up to Neville Friday night, and so it's Walker against his best buddy, Will Campbell, and that's going to be a tough game. Walker's had some nice numbers each week, but obviously they started off with a 1-2 record. So, yeah, that's going to be a big game, and I think Neville broadcasts that game live on Facebook or YouTube or both. So that's one of the games I'm considering actually going up and filming. But that LSU kickoff at 11 a.m. Saturday morning has me begging off.
Hey, Jacoby Matthews, Quincy Wiggins, Kendrick Law, a couple of more of the big in-state players that everybody in the country wants. Where do you think Le'Veon Moss? Where do you think LSU stands with a lot of these?
I think LSU's in great shape with all those guys. I just think LSU needs to continue to stack up wins and get some of the negative stuff out of there, and it looked to be rolling. And then from there you start. I think you're fine with the in-state kids, unless something bad happens the next 2 weeks and LSU loses one or both. But it's the Harold Perkins and the guys like that out of state that I think it hurts. Although I still think LSU is very competent in landing the Florida offensive lineman Justin Armala. So that would give you 5 offensive linemen in this class committed. And then with the 25+7 rule that where you can get up to 7 transfers, I wouldn't be surprised if LSU doesn't add a couple of offensive linemen there.
Yeah, we talked about that new rule that is expected to get passed here in the near future. JP, we talked about it last week, and in light of the fact that LSU's low on the numbers with the total of 85, that would certainly benefit them a bunch, Mike.
Yeah. So, and what do you do with those 7? Okay, let's say hypothetically you add 2 and you end up with a total of 7 new face offensive linemen. It's spring and summer workouts. What would you do with the other 5 spots? If you're talking about you can have 5 transfers, what would be those positions?
Well, there's got to be a linebacker.
A very salty tight end.
Yeah. Blocking tight end, a linebacker, a safety.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there are still plenty of holes, even though, look, JP and I were talking earlier in the show, and you and I talked on radio. I just don't know if I've ever seen LSU open up a season with, whether it's wacky tobacco or academics or injuries, they don't have the kind of depth that Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and others have. When you're missing 20 players, it hurts you with depth, Mike.
Well, I tell you what, that +7 is a gift because you can overnight fix all of your problems in a place like LSU. Absolutely.
Mike,
particularly if you're getting transfers that have shown how good they are in 1 or 2 seasons at the collegiate level.
Right.
And then you're getting somebody that's got up to 1 or 3 years of eligibility left for you.
Right. I mean, you've seen what transfers have done for Tigers in the past. I mean, Joe Burrow was a transfer from Ohio State. LSU has done a great job of finding guys that come in and contribute automatically. I mean, Liam Shanahan, the guy that's really the rock inside that offensive line, that guy's transfer. Like Mike said, the 7 scholarships. I mean, what a great addition that could be to LSU roster.
Now, you got to have 7 guys leave to fill those spots, but I don't think.
But I think they've already got those gone.
Yeah, and like I said, with attrition, the way it works with college football, I don't think that's a big problem. Mike,
but if you're able to use that 7 exactly how you want, when it's all said and done and the dust settles on it, you can overnight fix all of your problems positions wise.
Yeah.
Because your biggest problem is offensive line. Well, I'm giving you 5 right now. If Armla is indeed going to be the 5th, and he had 1 or 2 more, then you'd have another 5 to play with. What would you get? A couple of linebackers, a safety, maybe a tight end. And then we're looking at the class of 23 in Louisiana. 23 is just as ain't far behind how good the class of 22 is in Louisiana. There's no offensive linemen, but they got some big-time players.
by the way, if you could give us a little update on Kendrick Law. I got a couple people after the show today asking me where you think LSU uses him. Is he an offensive guy, a defensive guy, and does he play on special teams?
I think LSU recruits him as an offensive guy, a guy who can do a little bit of everything, wide receiver, running back. He's absolutely a Swiss Army knife. But if at some point you thought he could help you on defense, he can do that too. I mean, he's that gifted of an athlete.
All right, Mike, certainly appreciate your time here on Tigers Roar. I know you have Facebook later with the Bud, man. Before I let you go out of here, tell everybody about TigerBait.com and how you can subscribe today.
That's it. Go to TigerBait.com, choose the annual package. You save 3 months. You get 3 months for free, essentially, when you choose the annual. And check out our YouTube channel, LSU Tigers on TigerBait. We have a bunch of live shows. We're loading videos up there every day. And, of course, we've got all your best recruiting prospect video. Nobody does it better than us. And so if you're an LSU fan, we want you to be a part of our TigerBait.com community.
All right, before we let you go, you got a thumbs up or thumbs down on the outcome on this game on Saturday?
I think LSU wins. I think they take care of business. And look, they're going to get some yards. They're going to score some points. But I think at the end of the day, the LSU defense continues to get better and better each week. And I think LSU is going to go as Max Johnson gets more experience each week. I think that's going to get even better. But if I'm Max Johnson, I'm looking for 1-80 all the time.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget, Mike and Preston do the post-game show. You picked up on that 30 minutes after the LSU game, so probably looking, Mike, at about 3 o'clock this Saturday.
Exactly, and if it's not an LSU win, I think it's going to be darn spicy, but I think LSU wins.
Okay, man.
Thank you, Mike.
Talk to you tonight, brother.
Will do. Talk soon. Thanks.
All right, and of course, Mike and TK, they had similarities this time of year. They always had the cough. Of course, when the sinuses want to drain and you get all that junk in you, it is problematic, which is why I'm drinking a lot of water. Eat that orange every day. Get you some vitamin C in you, my man.
Another quick break. We'll come back, talk some New Orleans Saints here on Tigers Roar. Don't go anywhere. He's the Bud Man. I'm JP, and you're watching Tigers Roar.
Who dat?
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good. but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
We continue here on Tigers Roar. We're going to talk some NFL, some New Orleans Saints. Looked great in week one, dismantled the Green Bay Packers. Everybody was kind of worried about the Packers. Are they really that bad? Or were the Saints that good? Well, you're never as good as your best game, bud man. You're never as bad as your worst game. The Saints traveled to Carolina, decimated at the coaching staff. 8 coaches had COVID. They were out, missing an array of players, a lot of starters. Kind of phoned in that game, if you ask me. Watching the Saints in years past, especially under Sean Payton, they're historically slow starters in the NFL season. But if they get into a game and those 15 scripted plays don't really work out, the Saints kind of took a while to get into a rhythm. Drew Brees kind of had to manufacture plays. Of course, we do have some highlights from this past weekend. The Saints at the Carolina Panthers. Of course, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. They got a new quarterback in Sam Darnold. But they see Jameis Winston. It starts off okay for the Panthers, 17-0, and that's when the Saints really try to get something going.
Well, they just had a lot of problems on offense, and obviously Jameis Winston looked a lot different than he did in that first game. But look, you play in 17, you got an extra game this year. Saints obviously have not been at their houses and homes and being displaced over in Dallas. It's not easy to deal with, but it didn't bother them the first week. Second week, they just did not look like they had their act together.
Saints only had 128 total yards, the lowest total under Sean Payton. Had 113 penalty yards. Not great showing. Right here was a highlight from Zach Bond. He got the blocked field goal. This led to the Saints' only touchdown of the day. Of course, it came in the third quarter. Offense never got on track. Defense losing a bunch of guys in the secondary. No Lattimore, no Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It was tough to put things. I heard Marcus Williams wasn't 100%. And everybody has a little nicks and dings on an NFL roster. But when you're losing that many coaches and players, it's really tough to compete in the NFL. Every team is good.
I tell you who else wasn't into the game was Alvin Kamara. He did not look the normal. Look, folks, it's real simple. If you can't run the football, you can't stop the run, and you don't win the turnover battle, you're going to have problems. I did not know the total was that anemic, 128. That is putrid. After the game, Sean Payton took all of the blame. But I think when they had all those departures, I mean, Sean Payton was having to coach up. Everybody was having to do different roles. It was just a worst-case scenario for the Saints with the COVID situation. Should be much better this weekend as they travel to New England to play the Patriots.
Here's the only touchdown for the Saints on the day. Jameis Winston takes it in from about 7 yards out, does get another score on his feet. Offensive line struggled all game. Winston was under pressure. Defensive line did not get much pressure on Donald. Joe Brady has really calmed that young man down. Look, that was a very high draft pick not too long ago in Sam Darnold. Didn't work out for the Jets. The Carolina Panthers move on from Teddy Bridgewater, bring in Sam Darnold. He did some things. They have some talented wide receivers in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Of course, you have Christian McCaffrey, who is the best running back in the league, in my opinion. They're a lot to handle, especially when they get in a rhythm early. You saw 17-0. The Saints are not going to climb out of that hole with this roster and no coaches for the offensive side of the ball being at the game.
Well, when you're not picking up first downs, and you put a lot of pressure on the defense. Of course, as we know, Lattimore got the big contract, and they announced that after the first game. But he had a little thumb surgery. They did pick up Desmond Trufant and Bradley Roby to help them at the corner spot. But look, you could tell from the get-go. If you're a betting man and you laid the 3.5 or whatever it was, you didn't have to see too many series to know it was going to be a long day.
Right.
With Carolina. Terrace Marshall did get a catch late in the game. Joe Brady, the former offensive coordinator at LSU. And for you LSU fans, please stop throwing his name into the hat if something happens with Ed Orgeron. He does not like recruiting. He's a pro guy. He's not ever coming back, regardless of how much money you offer him. But he certainly interviewed, as you know, for some NFL head jobs last year.
Yep. You talk about first downs. Saints had 6 first downs on the day compared to 28 for the Panthers. Third down efficiency, Saints were 2 for 11. The Panthers almost had 50%, 8 of 15. That is not winning football. Sean Payton takes the blame. Look, Jameis Winston, a bunch of people trying to throw him back under the bus, saying, oh, here's the Winston that we knew was coming over. Last week was a fluke. Look, like you mentioned 17 games. Every team has one extra game this season, and the Saints have been historically slow starters in the NFL season. Give them a pass. Coach Sean Payton was coaching every offensive position during practice this week. His executive assistant, which really Sean Payton's secretary, was up in the booth with a headset on, helping with calls. Ian Book, who has not taken a pro snap, only played a few series in preseason, he was in charge of all personnel substitutions for the team. Look, I'm not trying to give the Saints excuses because they got embarrassed by the Panthers, but if that's a game I can understand you dropping to a divisional opponent, and you get them again later on in the year.
Well, the only problem that people saw is that Jameis, by the way, he had made some good decisions on when to run when the pocket is broken down. But bottom line is that you go to New England and they are, even though they had a fire at the Caesars Superdome last night, you know all the details on that. They put it out very quickly, but they still are expected to be back and host their first home game October 3rd.
Right. Take a look at the Patriots this Sunday, 12 o'clock noon at Gillette Stadium. That will be a good game. Of course, Max Jones takes over for Cam Newton in New England. Jameis Winston will get the start for Sean Payton. And hopefully, like you mentioned, Alvin Kamara, he was very anemic in the first half. Throughout the game against the Panthers, he's got to get going. He's the engine, he's the straw that stirs the drink.
Taysom Hill wasn't involved in that game either. Sean Payton had a vanilla game plan. Real quick, I don't know about the Saints winning, but I do like LSU to beat Mississippi State 37-27. Don't be shocked if Max Johnson runs one in like Jameis has done. And Malik Neighbors, number 8, he's going to have his calling out party and come out party this weekend at Starkville.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Tigers Roar. I want to thank Bill in the truck for doing a great job filling in for us. I also want to thank Alan and our floor director, Marty. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. A great way to keep up with everything we do here at the Pelican. All the Tigers Roar, the Exiles, the Clarence Buggs Show, the Coach Kadar Show, and a whole lot more. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Certainly appreciate you tuning in. Look forward to talking with you again next week. And Bud, man, send him out with a little Joe Burrow wave.
See you, man, everybody.